most grueling task I've ever had to undertake.
Do you have something to say? It's not for you. Can't eat it. I have. Oh, hello. Oh. I have just under a month to make my wedding dress. Is it going to be ready in time? Probably not. Is the goal to look like a haunted Victorian widow? Absolutely. That's the vibe here, guys. That's what we're doing. Seeing as how we really don't have time, I'm going to use a smattering of patterns in this, so I'll make sure to leave everything down below, but I am throwing this together very haphazardly. Oh, you're done? Okay. Okay. Oh! I am sure this will be fine. What can go wrong?
I have the mock-up skirt pieces cut for my skirt. I have to do that first because I'm really pushing the fabric as far as it'll go, cutting the skirt out on the fabric that I have. And I'm going to be using scraps for my tops. I gotta make sure that that's gonna fit before I cut out the lace and everything else. So, mock-up. Oh, it's so pretty. I really do need to make this into some sort of dress because, like, oh, this fabric's lovely. Maybe a nightgown or something. This is what I'm working with. So I want this scalloped edge on the bottom, and it just isn't quite lining up on the bottom correctly. And I was thought about cutting this piece in half to make it more close to the bottom, and I think that's what I'm gonna do, is just make an extra piece because everything else is kind of lining up, at least enough to like fudge it at the top. Fingers crossed it looks good, because if it doesn't, we start from square one, and nobody wants to do that. So I got my wedding lace skirt cut out. I have to do this skirt first, because if it doesn't work, then I have to order more lace, because I wanted the scallop edge on the bottom. I had to line up the pattern pieces, and then I had to measure them, and it was this whole thing on making sure that each piece was measured to the hem, exactly how long that piece that connected it was measured to the hem. It was a whole thing, but we did it, and we got it cut out, and I hope it looks good. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm sewing the pieces together, but I'm starting at the bottom first because I can always cut more off the top, but I can't cut it off the bottom. The scallop is, it's it. You have to make sure that the length's gonna be good, and I don't know if it's, we'll find out. We'll see what happens. I have all the pieces cut out for my bustier, but these are the ones that I have to dye to match the green of the satin. I am otherwise done cutting everything out and ready to move on. I have made this before, so I'm just gonna run through it, but baby steps, baby steps. This thing is coming together, baby steps at a time. I have all the little pieces made and colored, so I make my own bra pads, and I have those done. I also have the lace and stuff dyed, so it didn't quite get to the color that it is, but it's damn close. It took dyeing it green and then throwing it into a blue dye to just match this bluey green, but at least close enough. But yeah, that's done. So let's get started on this bustier. We are in the middle of a heat wave, so like, bear with me. So I got the cup all made. It still needs some tension here to fall correctly, but I think it's gonna look really beautiful. So how I did this, because I didn't realize I was gonna have to fudge a bunch of things until I got all the way into it. So I've sewn the lining onto the cup, and then what I did was I took the put together piece with the lining underneath and this top part zigzag, so I pulled the lace down, and then you just face them like this so that the faces are together, and then you'll sew them across the top here. But first, before I do that, I'm going to sew a seam, a stay stitch down the center seam like they do on the tutorial. I am surrounded by machines. But once you're done sewing that top seam here, so what you'll do is just flip it over, and then I'll have the top like this. I'm going to stitch the top, I'm going to stitch this part down just so that it stays down, and then I think I'm gonna serge all the edges, I think. It took me so long to build up the courage to start the serger again, but I'm so glad I did. Look how professional those seams look. I am so excited. Oh, I think it's gonna be so pretty. Okay, cups are done. I have both the skirts put together now, and I have to do the top before I can adjust the skirt because I have to take the waist in. But I want to make sure that the princess seams of the bodice and the front skirt match before I do that, so that I can hopefully make them look like they belong together, and then make sure that it's going to fit. I also made the collar smaller because I just didn't like how bulky the one was, and I don't think I'm going to use interfacing on it. I'm gonna try to just use the heavy satin that I have and hope that that's good enough. Do you think I was gonna kiss you on the head? I wasn't gonna. There you go. Bye, see you later. Okay, let's get this started. Make your own wedding dress, they said. It'll be fun, they said. This is the most grueling task I've ever had to undertake. Fun story. I completely lost the pattern. The skirt pattern was a paper pattern, so I had it in an envelope that they come in, and I have misplaced that, which means that I've also that was rude. Which means I've also lost the instructions. So I know that there was a side zipper. I've decided to go with a back zipper. And I think what I'm gonna do... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. Beans! I almost sat on you. No, pretty sure my chair, girl. Pretty sure. Once again, I'm surrounded by machines, but I had to take the waistband completely apart. I put it on and it didn't fit quite properly. It wasn't tight enough. And then I realized that I also did not put any interfacing on the waistband, so I had to completely take it apart and put it back on. I still have a little bit to take in on the front too. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll put the waistband back on, and we'll hopefully have it working. I got that skirt piece recut and sewn on, and it looks like it's gonna fit better now. I'm a little concerned on the length of the dress, just because it's higher than what the pattern was. Like where it's gonna sit based on this pattern is higher than what the pattern was. So I'm gonna have to be very, very careful on the waist seam and make sure that it is solid. Teeny tiny little seam allowance. My bad. That's on me. I should have checked. But now it's time to start on the top, because we can't do anything. We can't do anything until the top's done. So I'm gonna finish the top completely, and then we'll move on to adding the skirt, and then I'll check how it looks over top of the bustier. I have the bodice done. No, not done. I haven't done the French seam, but I have it sewn together enough to check, and I just, see if I can get a little closer. I love it. You can't really see how it sits with the black underneath, but this looks really cool. I feel like I need a chest tattoo piece now, just because I love this. I think this is so cool. So, I gotta do the French seams now on this part. It's not gonna fit. It's too short in the torso, so if I attach the skirt to the bodice the way that it is, the skirt is gonna come to my ankles and won't fit properly because it's not sitting properly. Which means we are 2 weeks out from the wedding and I have to order more lace. But I'm choosing to look on the positive side of this. Now I can fix some things that were a concern in the bodice, like how high the neck is, and that this neck band sits here, and I want it to sit more here, so we can adjust that, and we can adjust the torso length, make it longer. So if it gets here, the latest date I have for delivery is the 21st, which is when the wedding is. I guess we'll see you when the fabric arrives. Or I'm going naked. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna cause some drama. Okay, it is Wednesday. The wedding is Sunday. And my lace came in. So I have 3 days to make this dress. So I recut the bodice with a bigger size. I went with medium like I did before, even though that was stretchy, just to be on the safe side. I have them all cut out. I also adjusted a higher neckline, and I adjusted the torso a little longer. That way there's room to grow. Better to have too much than too little. So I'm gonna sew the bodice together and we'll see where we are at. There, I have the bodice all put together. I don't have it French seamed yet because I want to sew the sleeves on first, and I want to do the cuffs on the sleeves before I sew the sleeves on. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna work on, oh, stuff everywhere. I'm gonna work on the sleeves. I got them a little shorter just so they were tighter on my wrist. I didn't like how loose the last ones were. I wanted them to be more form-fitting. Oh, I also got this stuff for beating up my dress, so I'm gonna use these. By the goddess, y'all. Everything that could go wrong has. My skirt still isn't fitting, even though it's the same pattern I just used to make the underskirt that fits. I put the sleeves on wrong on the bodice, and now I have to cut those out because you can't seam rip lace with black thread on a French seam. It is borderline impossible. I tried, it did not go well. So we have to cut the sleeves out. I have to make sure that I can put sleeves on, and hopefully I have enough lace left. My lace came, and I cut the skirt piece. I went off script, you guys. I cut the front side piece to put it in the back, and I cut it with some extra give in the hips and butt. So I'm gonna attach those and hope that the skirt fits after, because if it doesn't, I can't have sleeves because I'll have to recut the back piece. Okay, let's do this. Let's just get this together and we'll see where we're sitting with the skirt. The skirt is finally done. It's gonna fit in the back. It's finally done. So next is the sleeves. I cut new sleeves like first thing in the morning. I'm just faking out, but I cut new sleeves. And I went a little rogue. I straightened out the pattern piece because it was going like this to the bishop sleeves, and I straightened the edges so that it went like this because it pulls funny, and I made them a little longer. But I have 2 sleeves and the bodice. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach the sleeves onto the bodice before I finish the bottom of the sleeve. That was ridiculous. That was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Made everything so much harder for myself. I have sleeves put together. I got the skirt put on the bodice, and then I put a pretty little satin band along the waist to just break up that seam a bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut satin, because this is very delicate. Where are my scissors? Ah! Because this is very delicate lace, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these, and then I'm going to serge the edges together like this, and then I'm gonna fold it over like this so that I've got this nice little button placket for the buttons, and I'm gonna do that on either side down to where the buttons are gonna stop. The only difference being is that I'm gonna put the button loops in between the satin and the lace on one side. And hoping it works. Hoping. It is Saturday. The wedding is tomorrow. I'm finally at the point where I can hem my underskirts. I'll cut. The dress is almost all done. All I have left to do is add the trim pieces around here, around my wrist cuffs, and then around my waist, and add the buttons. That's it. And then it's done for tomorrow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna serge this, and then I'm just gonna flip it and top stitch it and just be done with it. That's all I can be bothered to do right now. We are hours from the wedding. It is Sunday morning. We are hours away from the wedding. And somehow I completely missed that my back does not add up. I have so much more fabric on this side than I do anywhere else, and I'm having the loops pull out as I'm trying to button them.